group of students from ISM and we are really excited to speak with you. We'd love to get to know more about you and your journey. To start, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became the person you are today?
That's the most difficult question. I mean, there was a philosopher that was Alan Watts that told that there is nothing more difficult to define yourself. It's like trying to bite your teeth. So I'm very bad at defining myself. But all I can tell you is that passion is what has driven my whole life since I was a kid. And this is the reason why we are here now, because I have managed to keep that passion alive for more than 50 years now. And by turning my interest about the natural world, translating that natural world into the world of photography. And that's essentially who I am.
What's an important lesson that you've learned in your career?
Well, to be honest, is the most important in my career, I would say in my life, it's staying humble. Staying humble not only from a business point of view, but also from as a photographer of the natural world. The natural world teaches you to stay humble because it's not, you don't get the results when you want. It's when the nature wants to give you the results that you get it. So you need to be patient. Patience is absolutely essential in the field of photography, not only in the natural history. When you are going places for photographing people, you need to understand. You need to empathize with those people. So patience and stay humble. I think it's the most valuable lessons I have learned in my life.
Right. So you said you were really passionate, but what got you so passionate about photography specifically?
Well, photography was for me. I'm passionate about the natural world. So photography was kind of finding an excuse to make a living. And also, I'm specialized in the underwater world. And there is something that makes the underwater world special for us humans, and is that we are not fish. So we can stay longer underwater. And photography, it's kind of freezing the moments in time forever. Photography is the most similar that we have invented to a time machine, because we can freeze at the reality happening in a fraction of a second and then make it last forever. And I think that I discovered photography for that reason, because I wanted to enjoy, to reminding of that experiences, that very fleeting experiences underwater forever. And I spend a lot of time on my computer just observing my own pictures and trying to finding new significance, new messages, things that even for pictures that was taken 30 years ago, sometimes I found on those pictures something new that I didn't observe previously. So it's kind of magic, and that's the power of photography, that engaged you in a very special way.
Wow.
How did you overcome your challenges through your whole career?
Second.
How did you overcome your challenges during your career?
I'm not sure. Sorry, I'm not sure I understand your question. You're asking me about the challenges.
Yes, have you experienced any challenges in doing photography underwater?
Yeah. Well, it's photography nowadays is a challenge itself, because for the last 2 decades, when the digital cameras appear, the digital revolution appeared, then everyone became a photographer. So in the past, photography was like it was like having a job. It was a job. There was a craft of photography, but now it's a bit difficult. Adapting to that new situation for me was, and for many of my colleagues, was really difficult. And that's talking about photography. But again, talking about underwater photography, I think the main challenge is that you are working underwater, and diving is a dangerous activity, and you need to have a lot of you need to be really well skilled about diving before grabbing your camera in underwater.
If you weren't a photographer, what would your career be?
Well, I love the sea, and I love creative side of life. So I suppose that something in between. I don't know, maybe a writer of about the underwater world, or whatever. But I need diving. I need to stay underwater as an essential part of my life.
What's the most dangerous photo you've ever taken?
Well, this is another hard question, because danger is something is about perception. It's not real. Danger is something for many people. Driving a car is not dangerous, but I always think that driving a car is perhaps the most dangerous thing we can make in our entire life. So it's about perception. But I remember very especially a picture of a swordfish. Do you know what's a swordfish? A swordfish is one of the most elusive animals on Earth. Not only the most elusive fish in the ocean, it's one of the most elusive animals on the planet. It lives very offshore, very long distances from the coast. They are solitary. They can dive up to 1,000 meters for hunting fish and squid. And they are extremely shy. I mean, they are not friendly animal. Really hard to find. And of course, they are overfished, which is an added problem about swordfish. And I remember I was working in the surroundings of a fishery, a special fishery in the Mediterranean, and then one of them appeared out of the blue, coming straight to me. It was like a 150 kilograms animal with a sword like a meter or meter and 20, and I was so much mesmerized about that moment. I was really aware that was once in a lifetime, and it's gonna be repeatable anymore. So I was so much concentrated behind the camera that I didn't realize that he was coming straight to me, and I have the pictures to demonstrate that. And just when he was with the tip of the sword was like less than half a meter from my chest, then he suddenly turned around, and I could take the pictures, and I could survive. And the swordfish is probably, hopefully, still swimming in the sea. So it's, as I told you, it's about perception. Danger is about perception.
What's the best place you've traveled to for a photo?
Well, to be honest, I'm not that much traveler photographer, but I have traveled quite a lot, of course. And for me, one of the most special places is a place that you probably don't know that exists. That is Lake Tanganyika. Lake Tanganyika is a freshwater lake at the center of Africa. It's the size of a small sea. It's like an inland sea, and everything that happens there, it's very similar to what happens in the open ocean. I mean, there's fishes that swim in the middle of the water. There's fish that are swimming on the bottom. There's fishermen. There's seagulls. There's freshwater jellyfish. There's freshwater sponges. It's like an ocean, but it's freshwater. So it makes a very special place. And there's one single family of fish, that is the cichlids. It's a popular aquarium fish that they have diversified into 250 species, which makes a biodiversity hotspot in the world. It's a super interesting place, and it's a special place in my heart.
What advice do you have for students starting in environmental photography?
Well, environmental photography actually is a new term to name the photojournalism that is made for environmental purposes. So it's about photojournalism. And as for photojournalism, overall speaking, you don't need a good camera, you don't need to be a good photographer. You need to be very good at your social relationships. Because it's about approaching to your subject, what's gonna make a difference between a good photograph and a bad photograph. So, of course, you need to have your photography skills, and of course you need to have a good camera. I was just joking. But I would say that the most fundamental thing for environmental photography is having the ability to go to the place where the things are happening and stay on place and stay on time to capture what's going on there.
So you've talked a lot about how much you love underwater and marine life, but what was that moment that you decided that you want to capture marine life for the rest of your life?
Well, I have no idea, but I remember a very special experience that I had when I was just 3 years old with my grandfather, who just took me to a rock pool on a coastal area very near home, and he just dropped a diving mask just floating on a rock pool, maybe 5 centimeters of water. But the diving mask was there floating, and that allows me to see the underwater world for the first time through a glass. And somehow, I'm completely sure that changed the course of my life, that fixed the course of my life. From that moment to now, I have no idea, but I remember that vividly, and I was just 3 years old. So can you imagine how impactful was that for me? I think that's the key.
What are some misconceptions about being a nature photographer?
Well, there's many misconceptions. There's many misconceptions about being a nature photographer or a photographer. The first one misconception is that probably thinking that you spend all of your life traveling and having adventures, but you don't. You need to forget that at least for a freelance photographer, for independent freelance photographer, which is my case, you are first and foremost you are a businessman. So it means that you don't only have to take the pictures, you need to sell the pictures. And selling pictures, organizing pictures, preparing your trips, all that stuff takes a lot of time. So at the end of the day, you spend probably 80% of your time in front of a computer, like many other people in this world, and only 20% of your time taking pictures. Of course, that depends on the photographers. There's photographers that works on a team, and for them it may be different. But for my situation, I spend quite a lot of time in front of the computer, sadly.
So you've talked about that really dangerous, amazing photo with the swordfish, but do you have a favorite photo that you've taken?
I have many favorite photographs because I'm not only working the sea and the ocean from an underwater perspective. I work a lot on a studio. I have a small studio laboratory at home for working plankton, for example, smaller creatures at the sea. And I love also being on board with fishermen, because fishermen, like it or not, are part of the sea as well. So I have different approaches for taking my pictures, which means that it's like different families of pictures, and each of those families I have my own favorite pictures. But I have to confess that I love, one of the photography that I most love, it's animal behavior photography. I love animal behavior. I was trained as a biologist, as a marine biologist, and the thing that I really love is it's staying in front of an animal doing things. And I'm especially proud of this year Prince Albert Fondation overall winner, because that's exactly the picture that I love. It's a behavior photography, and amazingly, there's no animal in that picture because the animal is underwater. The only thing you can see is that volcanoes spitting sand, and that sand is spit by a worm that is underneath the sand. That picture took like more than 100 hours underwater, just waiting in front of those volcanoes for the action to happen. So it was really a tedious picture to take, and I'm especially proud of that picture, of course.
And I was wondering, as you like taking pictures of animal behavior, how do you choose your location where to take the picture?
Well, that's a good question, and the thing is that because animal behavior and so many other things, but specifically animal behavior, it takes so much time to try to photograph animals doing things that I prefer to choose my those places that I have near home. Can you imagine to go to a place, I don't know, can you imagine to go to the other part of the planet and having to wait for, I don't know, 3 months, 4 months, 1 year for something to happen? That's impossible unless you have a financial support that is completely non-thinkable. So I prefer to work near home, where I can spend lots of hours and days and months. That's my preference, of course. Yeah.
In a hyper-connected world like today's life, what makes you unplug from the world? Like the
Well, that question, it has an assumption that is not correct. You are assuming that I'm hyper-connected. I'm not hyper-connected. I'm a quiet person, and my struggle in life is having time for spending time in nature. So it's exactly the opposite. I mean, and it's your election in life. Of course, the world is hyper-connected. We have an hyperactive world. Sometimes we think that we are in a world of mad people. Everything is going down, but it's not like that. It's your personal election about this world. So, in my personal case, it's about spending time. It's a natural part of my work. I'm not forcing anything.
Have you ever gotten bitten or stung by an animal while you were photographing it?
Well, many times. You know, I love jellyfish. I love them. I think it's a wonderful creature, but they have a small problem, and then they are poisonous. And sometimes, for taking pictures of jellyfish, you have to plunge yourself into a jellyfish swarm. And unless you protect yourself very well with plastic bags and a very, very tight fit wetsuit, they are going to sting you. Yeah, many, many times.
Have you ever won any competitions before this one?
Yes, I think so. I mean, a few years ago I was named the European Photographer of the Year, which was a very remarkable milestone in my career. And then I often take part in many other competitions, like Wildlife Photographer of the Year or World Press Photo, and I have been lucky enough to have some recognitions on those competitions.
Is there any kind of photographers that inspired you?
Well, of course there's photographers that inspire me. There are photographers out there. There's many photographers out there that are producing absolutely fascinating stuff, and I love some of them. But inspiration, it's a very undescribable thing. It's something that is all around everything. You don't need to have another photographer in front of you. You just have watching a painting, or reading a book, or listening a song, or just spending time with you today speaking can inspire me or can inspire you. Don't you think that you are going to be the only one getting inspired? I've been inspired by you as well. And you never know, inspiration is something that, I don't know, maybe tomorrow will come a new idea to my mind because of this meeting with you, or maybe not. I mean, inspiration is a kind of mystery magic.
Angel, we'd all really like to say thank you. This has inspired us, and we are grateful for the opportunity to have been able to speak with you.
Thanks a lot for having me. It's been a really intimidating pleasure to stay surrounded by you young ladies. Thank you very much, and I just wanted to wish you the best of luck in your life. Thank you.
Thank
you.
you.